Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Cam, the Magic Man, and welcome to this kind of weekly vlog. Don't know if I'm going to do weekly vlogs anymore. I might do like little vlogs just when I feel like it, but definitely one a week. We'll see if I stick with a weekly vlog tagline. And it is the 21st of May, and hopefully it should be released on the 21st or 22nd May. We'll see. And this will be the episode I promised in my last little vlog, where I am going to talk about the actual GP and what it was like actually playing at the GP instead of just being super tired and just showing all my swag. So I was at GP Birmingham, the most recent one, 2018, for the full 4-day duration, and overall, in general, really enjoyed it. It was like pretty fucking fun. Basically got to goof off for 4 days and play Magic with people I liked in like a little group. We all rented a house out and all like slept at this little team house, and yeah, it felt good. It felt good. One thing I will say, if you are watching this and thinking of going to your like first GP, bear in mind how tiring like a very intense F&M can be. Times that by 2 times a day, times 4 for 4 days. It was mentally exhausting, and I would focus, if you're going to a GP, on a little bit of self-care when you're there. If you're not feeling good, have a break, just play some casual games, have a cup of coffee, like go to the Starbucks, have some food, just relax. Another big thing I'd say is bring a packed lunch with you, because food was damn expensive. Like £10 for a Subway. Like, get on your fucking bike, mate. I had a little sandwich, spinach and some chicken. Felt good. Felt nice. Tastes good. Because yeah, things like that will help you not get burnt out. I got really savagely burnt out on the Saturday after I played some very poor matches where I was just making silly mistakes and got angry at myself. And so what I did was I bought some tickets for Turbo Town. Now, Turbo Town, everyone's going to say like, oh, it's terrible value, or it's dreadful, or don't do it, all the tickets you get. Yeah, but sometimes you don't want to play a full 3-round tournament. So sometimes you want to play a tenner and just play 3 matches whenever you want to play them. And so I found myself, if I was tilting, I'd just go play a little bit of Turbo Town and I would inflict Storm on some poor, unsuspecting fool. And that felt good. But Storm, yeah, what did I actually do over the GP? I predominantly played just Modern and a tithe, a sprinkling of Pauper throughout the weekend. And of the 2 formats, I preferred Modern at the event, because the Pauper, I'll talk about Pauper first because it'll be a shorter segment. Like, Pauper, the metagame seems fucking dry, man. It's like, it feels like the ocean. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink, because every motherfucker's playing blue. Everyone is playing blue in Pauper, because of Delver of Secrets, Gush, fucking Brainstorm, Preordain, Ponder, draw every card ever. Like, it's bollocks. It's like, I'm not someone to shit on control players. I think control is a very healthy thing in every meta. I think if a meta is missing control decks or viable control decks, there is an issue. Because control is just it should be always a viable way to play the game. But when it is the most viable way to play the game over everything else, at least it feels like that, like in Pauper, man, it's dull. At least this is a very small segment of Pauper, and this is all people playing quite try-hard Pauper, got to win Pauper. So that, it may be one of the best decks in the format. I know Mono Blue, or at least Blue-Red Delver, is very powerful in the format. So people might just be playing the most powerful deck due to the low buying cost to win, to get points. So everyone's playing the good deck, so everyone's playing the same deck, if you know what I mean. So I was playing a kind of gimped version of Blue-Black Zubras the first time I played, and felt good, because the hand destruction against blue decks, like, because you have Ashen Skin Zubra, and you sacrifice Ashen Skin Zubra to something like Carrion Feeder, bring it back with something like Supernatural Stamina, hold priority, sack it again. Both Zubra's triggers then resolve at the same time, with 2 Zubras having hit the graveyard. that turn so far, meaning they will discard 4 cards. It's quite a complicated little combo if you don't really know how the stack works. If it's visualized like, so Carrion Feeder, sack trigger on the Zubra, resolves, Zubra trigger, Supernatural Stamina trigger happen at the same time. You choose which one to happen. You choose Supernatural Stamina. That then resolves. The Zubra triggers on the stack, Carrion Feeder, sack it again, get rid of it. Then both Zubra triggers then happen. So effectively you're layering everything on top of the first Zubra trigger, then you're letting the final Zubra trigger resolve, then that very first Zubra trigger resolve. If you don't know how the stack works, some people don't. Like, some people just play deadly simple things. That felt good against mono blue control decks, especially when I got the further improved version, which just has things like Dark Rituals in, because the Floating Dream Zubra is like Ashen Skin Zubra, but instead of then discarding cards, you draw cards. So what I found with the improved version, which is running things like a single Gurmag Angler, is running Dark Rituals, it's running Chittering Crypt Rats. What would happen is I would make them discard their entire hand. I would draw close to 14, 15 cards. I would then play a Dark Ritual, just empty my hand of all the black creatures I had, and just be like, discard all the lands, keep all the removal, any black creatures or any blue creatures, because blue is a heavy cinch point in that deck, so you'd probably keep quite a fair amount of blue creatures in your hand. You could then just delve out the next turn with your like untapped blue sources. Just be like, pass turn. Try and kill me with 1 card off the top of your deck, and that didn't happen. So yeah, I had a deck that kind of countered that kind of metagame, but at the same time it just wasn't enjoyable. Like, I think Pauper at my local FNM has kind of almost ruined Tournament Pauper, because we have such an interesting and diverse local metagame with things like elves, all these variant different Tron like variants. We have like aggressive mono white heroic variants. And that compared to playing 5 blue Delver decks out of 6 games, it's just this shit. But Modern, yes. Modern is what I played the most, and Modern were the format I enjoyed the most. The Modern metagame is fucking diverse as fuck, and I loved it. So, let's say you've got your first Modern deck and you're going to an event like this. My biggest single piece of advice for you is, once you lose or once you win, you ask your opponent how you should have sideboarded against them. So like a couple of the matches I played, one of the very, very first matchups I played, and one of the most interesting matchups I played, was Storm versus Mill. Oh, who plays Mill? Who plays Mill these days? I've never seen anyone play Mill before. It was like spotting a rare pink zebra through like the tundra or some shit. It was amazing. This little guy was like, I am from Switzerland. I am playing Mill. You put like 20 cards from deck into graveyard. I'm like, what? This is so cool. And so I'm playing Gifts Ungiven Storm. So I have Past in Flames in my deck. So this gentleman, milling me for hundreds and hundreds of cards. First game, he milled pretty much my entire library off of a Hedron Crab and a couple of things like, I don't know what's in the mill list, but you know, you get the general concept. He was just milling me for like 13, 14 at a time. And so he passed to me, and I had a nice hand. I had all the pieces I needed. And I was left with 1 card in my deck. And I drew it, and I was just like, okay, Past in Flames, cast my graveyard, win. And he I don't think he'd ever played against Storm before, at least this version of Storm with his mill deck. So he was just like, okay, how do you win? And I was just like, okay, every single ritual, every single Manamorphose. Oh no, not the Manamorphose. I didn't use the Manamorphose because that would have made me draw and lose. Every single ritual, then every single like Storm thing, win. At least kind of what I did. The next game, he played Surgical Extractions. He brought in Surgical Extractions against me. At least that's what I saw. And that was my first experience of Surgical Extraction with a graveyard-based Storm deck. And I was like, oh shit, Surgical Extraction is baller. I need to avoid putting things I like in my graveyard. If you don't know what Surgical Extraction is, it's 1 Phyrexia mana, which can be black or 2 life. Target a card in a player's graveyard, exile it, and exile all cards with the same name from their hand and deck. So whereas I might, let's say someone's playing kind of a black control-ish deck, they'll like look at your hand, see what I'm playing, obviously Storm, probably take a ritual, and then, depending on what my starting hand is, then hit it with a surgical extraction. So then I lose like a third of my rituals in my deck, just gone, missing. And that can just shatter me. Like I faced surgical extraction a couple times, and every time it hit something valuable, it felt like a swift kick to the nards. Like it just really cut the legs out from under me. So if you're facing a very storm dominated metagame, play surgical extraction. I believe it is even instant speed. So boof. They put their Past of Flames in your graveyard, you surgical extraction it, they've got to hope they can win with what they got already, or else they're fucked. Very interesting matches against Jund. I played against one person playing like good, strong, robust, honest Jund. And I was playing against someone else who was playing, I think it was blue, black, green. I don't know if that's not Jund, it could be Grixis or whatever. But it's a similar conceit to the deck, but without the, like... to me, they both seemed very similar. Jund seemed better. Like... They want to control your hand, they want to play their threats, they want to hit you, they want to top deck, they want to have very good top decks, they want to win. And against those kind of decks, I learned from, once again, ask my opponent, how should I sideboard, what should my strategy be against you, that Empty the Warrens is all the spicy play. Like, I would take out from my main board one of my Grape Shots and put an extra Empty the Warren in my main deck, so I'll be running 2 Grape Shots and 2 Empty the Warrens. Because, like, if, for example, they just have kind of a middling kind of board, a Goyf, like some kind of Noble Hierarch maybe? No, not Noble Hierarch in Jund, like a Goyf and a Gary, a Dark Confidant on board. Let's say I empty the Warrens for 6, 12 Goblins. They have predominantly single target removal in their deck. They don't have, like, heavy board wipes or anything. So then I can just swing, win is kind of what I do, because they probably fetch shock themselves down a little bit in life in that scenario. So that's what I learned. Like, Empty the Warrens is really good against Jund, and probably take out your Gifts Ungivens and maybe go for Pieces of the Puzzle, because going for like a full-on heavy storm against Jund is probably not the best thing to do, because yeah, you always want game 1 to just like hit out the blocks as quickly as possible. You want to be there. You want to be 100 miles an hour, turn 3, kill you. With the hand destruction that things like Jund is able to like just exert against you with, like Fortsies, Collective Brutality, or Kozilek's Command. I'm not sure if it runs Kozilek Command in the main board or whatever. Kozilek's Commands. Like, if you get hit with all that, like, and they shatter your hand state, with Storm, you're just like, okay, I can produce 6 mana from my free land. Fuck, you know, like, doesn't do anything if they've taken away all your payoffs and all your, like, things you need to invest that mana in. So maybe switch to things like Pieces of the Puzzle, which is, I can actually look, I had the deck next to me this time, fucking G, figured out this whole podcast thing, because Gifts Ungiven lets you fetch 2 cards from your hand, 4 cards from your deck, your opponent puts 2 in your hand and 2 in your graveyard, which is amazing, because if you're going off, it allows you to sculpt your hand, then cast Past in Flames, then just cast your graveyard and win. Pieces of the Puzzle, on the other hand, lets you reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put 2 instant or sorcery cards from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, and cost 1 less mana. So you probably go for mini storms instead of big storms. Maybe lose the Gifts Ungivens. Definitely lose the... I'm running 3 ops. I probably lose 3 ops for a playset of Lightning Bolts against Jund, so I can just pick off some of their bigger threats before it becomes bigger. Don't feed the Goyf. If they've got a Tama Goyf on the field, its toughness is increased by what's in the graveyard, like the different types of cards in the graveyard. So if there isn't an instant in the graveyard, and you're looking at it, and it's a 2/3, and you Lightning Bolt it, it will become a 3/4, so it will survive a Lightning Bolt. So be careful trying to... throw my Lightning Bolts around. So be careful trying to bolt a Goyf, because, like, if you do it wrong, then you've just made the goif more powerful. I'd also put in against them blood moons. So, like, go for smaller mini storms, try and hit empty the warrens. Like, go for more of, like, an aggressive deck instead of a full-on combo kill deck. And probably put in 1 or 2 blood moons main board. Because if they get blood mooned, it fucking slows them down. Because their mana base is pushed. It is full of non-basics. So full of non-basics. Against a Jund-esque matchup, it was the one that wasn't quite Jund, but looked very similar. With a Gifts Ungiven, went for Noxious Revival, 2 Rituals, and a Blood Moon. And he put a Blood Moon with Noxious Revival in my hand, so I then Noxious Revivaled, which is pay 2 life, put Phyrexian mana, but it's green, so pay 2 life or 1 green, put a card from your graveyard on top of your library. So then, at the start of my turn, I, in my upkeep, cast Noxious Revival, put my Blood Moon on top, drew it. I believe he may have played a Coastal X Commander instant speed, naughty, to make me discard it, but c'est la vie. So that's something else you can do with things like that. Maybe if you're putting in the Blood Moons, keep the Gifts Ungiven, because pieces of the puzzle won't hit your Blood Moon. Interesting. Depends how you feel. Depends how I feel. I'm going to try both because I know we do have a John player in our local meta. I'll ask him, see what he says. And one matchup as well I found very interesting was Living End, because Living End and my deck don't interact with each other, like, at all. Like, Living End, if you don't know what it does, it fills its graveyard cheaply with loads of cheap cycling creatures like Horror of the Broken Sands. I'll flash up what it really is. It's 1 black mana, put it into your graveyard. It's a 4/4. Then draw another card. So it will just cycle things like that. And then it will play a card called Living End, which basically reads, put all the creature cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So he's basically trying to hit as many creatures as possibly he can, put them onto the battlefield, swing and win, and I'm trying to like blow his face off as quickly as possible to win. It's really interesting matchup. He turn 3 can play like a Cascade card, which will then cascade to a card which costs less than it. So the Cascade card costs 3, then he has to cast a card which, from his deck, by looking through it, that costs less than 3. And so all his creatures are super expensive, but they cycle cheaply. So the only thing that costs less than that is Living End. So then, because Living End costs 0, it does a suspend, whatever. So then he'll play that, then hit Living End. So it's like having multiple copies, and just like, then it'll just blow me out. So he was effectively trying to do that, and I was effectively trying to storm off. I learnt in that matchup, don't Blood Moon yourself. I had a spicy handy Magoo, and I was looking good. And I was just like, he has mainly non-basics upon the field. He needs very differing types of mana to cycle and cast his spells. I can cast Blood Moon and fuck him. Cast Blood Moon. And he has like 1 or 2 creatures on the board, and he's just like, okay. And I look at my land like, well, now next I shall do nothing because I've got all non-basics and all my hand was blue. And I was like, alas, poor Yorick, I lose the fucking game. So I'm like, that's what made me super salty on Saturday, just doing something silly like that. And all the guys were like, you'll never do it again. And it felt good, really. Like, if you're going to a GP to learn a deck and to play a deck and to like improve at it, it's a wonderful place to do it because everyone there is knowledgeable about their decks, is knowledgeable about Magic, and will give you so much brilliant advice on how to beat them if you are friendly and you ask them and you want to interact. Bear in mind, they will tell you all the good things to beat their deck in your sideboard, but don't make your sideboard just all the things one person suggests, because every person will suggest the perfect things to counter their deck, but your sideboard has to be multiple things to counter multiple decks. So if someone says, put this in your sideboard and this and this and this, maybe just put the first one in, and then put counters to like 5 or 4 other decks in, kind of thing. You know what I mean? You know, it's loosey-goosey. It's cool. And what else? Mainly the only other thing I'd like to talk about is vendors, and just if you're dealing with vendors, don't be afraid to be a little like abrupt and just straight up ask for what you want. It's not like a shop situation where it's like, excuse me, person working at the till at Sainsbury's, may I buy these oranges? It's much more like, mate, you got any blood moons? And be like, yeah, it's right there. Like, just be a bit abrupt, like, especially if you're on a time limit, like, just go up and ask. Also, do shop around. Like, I managed to get my very, very pretty blood moons for 17 each. Most people were charging 19 for them. So it does pay dividends to shop around. Also, a lot of... Alright, so, between you and me, Legacy be an expensive format. I had a lot of friends who were buying into Legacy at the event just to chill, play some Legacy in the side events, etc, etc. What they did were ask for shite condition Legacy cards. So if you want to buy into Legacy and you're just like, oh, paying £400 for a Volk or whatever, just be like, give me your shittiest condition Volk. I don't care if someone's used that to scrape coke into their nostril. I want that Volk. I want that Volcanic Island. If you don't know what Volcanic Island is, it's a land used in Legacy. It isn't pretty anymore. It'll never be pretty again. Super expensive. I want that Volcanic Island, the shittiest one. You'll get like a decent mark off. Also, don't be afraid to sell your collection at events. If you want some more spending money and you've just got a big folder full of bulk rares, you're not fucking using them, to sell them. Like, just sell them. I managed to make 50 quid in one setting by selling about 10 cards, which I'm probably never going to use. Like, feels good. Then I just sold the rest of my bulk for about 15 quid, which is about like a good stack of cards, but they're just bulk rares. One last thing on vendors. If you do want to burn some time, don't be afraid to go to the foil bins and just have a dig through. They are really fun to look through. The cards are pretty cheap and they look pretty, and they're probably good for small gifts to people with you. If they're getting a bit tilted, offer them a small little foil card. I know it's nothing much, but it's probably nice if you like, you know they're a blue player, give them a Rise from the Tides promo. It feels nice, you know, like, oh, thanks man, I'll get back on the horse, play some more games. Like, and they're also good for presents for people back home in your like local scene that like, if they can't come to GP, they're a bit upset. Just get them like a couple nice foils. Just be like, there you go, man. Sorry you can go. Like, it costs you £1. It gives them 4 cards and a nice little memento. Like, it's worth it. They're easy, a very good way to get souvenirs. Very good way. And there's one last thing I want to talk about. The prize war. The prize wall. The prize wall. If there is something you see you like on the prize wall, buy it. It might sell out. That is one thing I wish I'd done. I saw this awesome little starter deck for 150 tickets. It was like from 1995, or not 99, probably like 2000 or like 2002. And I was just like, ooh, that looks really cool. I probably have nothing valuable in it, but it'd be very interesting for me to open on the channel for people to watch. At least for me to talk through what I think the cards do and have, you know, a bit of enjoyment with that. Didn't buy it, sold out, getting rinsed. So if you see something you like on the prize wall and you have tickets in your pocket, don't think I will wait until the end to buy stuff, because at the end it's just chaos really. Just loads of people milling around the prize wall, grabbing what they can, like just spending all their shit. Like, you know, spend them early, enjoy spending them, earn more, you probably will, do good. So that's kind of like my very amorphous, very wibbly wobbly GP breakdown. We're going to cut now because I want to pick up my blood moon off the floor, then we'll cut back to me in a sec. Blood moon, no, not blood moon, it was a lightning bolt. Oh, I've got blood moons on the brain. It was under the chair, got that back. Yeah, so I said I'd come back like on game. I'm just getting distracted now. This is like the post credits kind of section. If we had credits on this show, we don't. This is just like a little update on what I want to do with the channel and things I'm going to be doing more like just over the next couple of videos, I guess. I'm going to do another more in-depth video upon Storm. Very similar to the first video I did where I came second at an F&M and just talked through all my matchups and whatever. It's modern this Friday. I'm going to bring Storm there, I'm going to play Storm there, and I'm going to talk through all my matchups, what was good, what was bad, what I enjoyed about the deck against the things I faced, what I didn't, and just go through like a very in-depth F&M breakdown again, because people responded very well to that. Other things I'm going to be doing on the channel, at the end of every video I do want to do just a single pack opening, just because it's quite light, breezy content. It's a nice little way I can just riff for a bit, and I like opening packs. So at the end of every episode like this, I'll just switch to a second camera view. If people aren't into that, they can just turn off and I'll just open a pack and talk through the cards. I'm going to be sorted out by a guy who sells cards locally, who I may or may not like promote, who's going to like help me just get some cheapish packs from recent sets, and I'll just do my thing. other videos I'm going to start doing are going to be just general things about magic I enjoy. Like that video I did about the first F&M you go to and discussing what it's like to go to your first F&M. I'm going to do a couple more videos like that aimed at starters, beginners, probably aimed at people who don't know like too much about the game or are quite new. Starters, beginners, yeah. I'm also probably going to do a video discussing draft, because I think draft as a format is a little maligned, and I want to talk about draft a little bit and strategy and things I think about whilst I'm drafting, because I do enjoy draft, although I don't personally do it too often for reasons which we shall discuss. And I'm also going to do like a couple more out there wacky videos about some of the weirdest stuff I love about Magic the Gathering. We are going to do a full review of every single elk ever printed in Magic, because I love elk, and I'm also going to use that video as a start of a small campaign to get Wizards of the Coast to print a legendary elk, because I want there to be a legendary elk so I can make an elk commander deck, and I want them to print hundreds of elks in a set and just have loads of elk around so I can build an elk filmed like commander deck. It's a pie in the sky dream, I will not lie, but it's one I'm going to fight to achieve. And in terms of how often I upload, like I said kind of at the start, I'm going to try and hit 1 a week, maybe even 2 a week, like this week. Ooh, enjoy it. Because I had a little hiatus, didn't feel good. I feel like I can pre-record some episodes and just upload them if I'm away, like put them on delay upload. So I'm going to pledge now to consistently hit 1 upload a week. And so, yeah. That's the State of the Union. This has been me talking about the Grand Prix. I hope you're looking forward to Friday, like I am. And my screens come back on and I'm gone.